Lynchburg, VA. Council, Lynchburg, VA.
26. We will have a member joining us remotely, but I don't believe she is on yet. So we're going to move first to the Budget Committee with Mike Reynolds.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will call the Budget Committee to order and turn it right over to Josh and company. Thank you.
Good evening, Josh Coleman, Business Administration Division Director, joined with Rick Chandler, Park Authority CFO, and Katie Miga, Business Office Manager. We're going to go through a couple items from the budget side.
All right, next. First items up are the third quarter review. Oh,
Do you have the, you got the?
Talk about below that slide though, right? Did you see it?
This one?
Boo, you missed it.
Oh, the backgrounds. Yeah. Oh my God.
Makes your eye twitch. I'm trying to.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's a nightmare. Look at all those faces.
It's massive bamboo though.
Kind of where the photo is.
John, if you want to take over, that's fine.
Yeah, look at even it. They had their money.
5 years, that portion.
Sidewalk.
District is that.
Bamboo.
It's definitely profit.
They're really pretty.
Get the pandas up.
All that is though. Serious.
While we're waiting, we do have at least one member who has a long drive after this meeting, so we are trying to hold to the schedule.
Right.
okay, there we go. All right.
Share screen again. Yeah, hold on a sec.
All right. I can't control it now, but that's okay. So general operating fund. Generally, there's not much there. This is the third quarter review. We're on track in the general operating fund. Pretty much, it's the, you may have noticed in the backup material on the revenue fund that there's a lot of red on the line of business reports. A lot of that is really an accounting issue. That revenue is in the rec activities admin line, about $1.1 million worth of activities that are happening off-site from the rec centers at the schools, programs that are put on at the schools that just need to be recoded to the rec center or the RMI site that actually runs those programs. So we're working on that now, and that will adjust a lot of the red that's in there for the rec center and RMI sites, because that revenue will get applied to those sites. Additionally, in the third quarter for golf, you had the snowstorm that really impacted revenue for several weeks there. That was very different from the snow. I mean, we get snow every winter, but this was a different kind that stuck around a lot longer, so impacted the revenue in the third quarter for golf. Otherwise, if these are the year over year comparisons that are red. When you're looking at this year, the reality is, revenue's up, expenses are up, but revenue is up as well. So there really isn't a problem, despite the fact that there's red showing up in the details. Mostly it's an accounting issue that will resolve itself in the next couple of weeks when we move the revenue to the right location.
So that will change the bottom line number?
It won't change the bottom line. It won't change the bottom line. It'll change the site level. That is where the red is showing. The totals are all in the black. It's the site by sites that are in the red. So any questions on the general expenses or revenue for the third quarter?
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, next. So that was revenue.
It's working now, I guess. Have it.
So yeah, I mean, this is, overall, it's the same problem we have every year, which is, kind of net revenues in the red for 3 quarters and 1 quarter, when all the camp money comes in, is that. For the third quarter, the Board of Supervisors approved items that we had submitted in the third quarter process. We had submitted 3 items: Rec Center Wellness for 5 million, CIP Assist for 3 million, and the $100,000 for playground study to include NCS and the schools in our playground study. We got the Rec Center Wellness at 5 million in the playground. We did not get CIP Assist. And then additionally, the Department of Energy and Environmental had put in 400,000 for the additional costs for solar at the rec centers. That's a project that they're doing for us. It shows against our budget, but is really a project they're doing for us on the solar panels.
I wanted to, the CIP Assist, 3 million, historically, that's a carryover item for us. So we made a third quarter request last year, a carryover. We only got 2 million, where we've requested 5 million as a regular request. We'll be submitting CIP Assist again as part of carryover. How much that number will be, but hold down with what the county's got left.
That's part of the full year carryover.
Full year carryover, yeah. But we'll talk about that actually in one of the next presentations. The CIP Assist is critical to us in terms of that's the dollars that's often helped offset the bond cash flow challenges that we know we have. So that will continue to be a recurring item for us and a recurring submission, which helps alleviate the stress on the overall bond program tied to cash flow. So you'll see that again later tonight.
Yeah, overall, the third quarter, the county had quite a bit of additional revenue that they didn't anticipate, as well as some costs that were lower. So a lot of agencies got money, so that's a good sign for us. We got a healthy chunk at $5.5 million, and hopefully bodes well for the end of year carryover request. The last item is we just wanted to share with you kind of the timeline. We had a meeting last Thursday with the divisions, kicking off the 2027 fee schedule process, as well as the 2028 county budget process. We're starting it a little earlier than we're getting out in advance of DMV guidance, but we don't want to wait till the summertime to get this process starting. So we're starting about a month earlier. What you have here is the timeline between now and when you all approve the fee schedule in December. So driving when we have to turn in for the fee schedule to get public comment really is the driver there, as well as when we turn in to DMB. We're expecting the 2028 budget submission will be due the Friday after Labor Day, like it was last year. And so those are the deadlines, and driving back from that, we will be coming to you in August and in September to review what we expect that we're going to be asked to do cuts again to the general fund like we have in the past. That's at least kind of the indication that we're getting right now. And so we would come to you in August and propose, brief you on what the proposed general fund reductions that we would be putting forward are. And then if we want to do the comment period like you did last year, then we would be getting those back around that week of Labor Day so that we could turn in to the county our request. So what you have here is BPA is budget, procurement, and analysis. That's the acronym for Katie's team that puts the budget stuff together. So
just point of information, I think we mentioned it before. You mentioned August, our board meeting, but it's August 26th, plan to be back in town before Labor Day, please.
Yeah, so we would come to you at the August 26th meeting to brief the budget reductions. We would come back on the 9th to brief you on what the proposed operating budget submissions are to the county. Then we'd come back again 2 weeks later with the capital budget submissions. And then we would come back on October 14th with the proposed fee schedule for 2027. So a lot of briefings to you all at the end of August, September, and October to let you know where we're headed with the 2028 budget builds, as well as the 2027 fees to support that. As half of 27 is in the 2028 budget timeline.
So, right, we're assuming, I just want to make it clear since we're assuming, we haven't gotten official DMV guidance yet for the budget. So we're assuming if there is a reductions exercise, then that's the schedule. If there's not a reduction, if we find out in June, there's not a reduction exercise, we don't need to come back. We can do our regular budget process, which would start when you guys come back. So I just wanted people listening, we're not saying, nobody's here saying that there is a reductions exercise. This is the plan. Getting ready if there is. So we want to make sure, because we have to have the board date set to be able to post.
Tim's point, we'd like to have it on the calendar if that happens of knowledge that we'd have that August meeting if that's the.
And we already asked if you're wondering, we had this thing last year, the last July meeting, because it's July, we have that one virtual, thinking that it's better for people's schedules. And so that means that the August one has to be in person. So that's the question is, why don't we have the August one virtual? So we'll make that a full meeting just to make it worth your while to come in.
Okay,
So that's really all I had. Just wanted to make you aware of what the schedule is and what will be coming to you with asks or approvals on.
very fast through that, faster than I thought. So are there any other questions? Co-chair, you good?
Yeah, the one thing, because I noticed there was 4 rec centers that were in the red. And by your explanation, that will all equal out when they get credited. So
Yeah, there's about $1.1 million in revenue that shows in rec activities that needs to get spread to the rec centers and RMI sites that put on those classes.
And I will conclude the budget committee. Thank you very much to the team.
It's fast. So before moving to the next meeting, I'd like to say that on the cusp of a major milestone here with the,
Is the Dermot in the next?
I'm sorry,
This is
that's
next,
the next.
this next one.
Next meeting.
then I'm wrong. Okay, sorry about that. The next meeting is, sorry.
You can't start it for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can.
6:10.
Fast.
It's not very good.
Sorry.
Yes.
Started.
Fast.
She didn't see that on that.
I just dear manager.
Oh, is it on the wrong thing? It's just recorded.
Yeah, I think it says so. Get folks that.
Oh, so there.
Why, that's.
I don't mind that certainly. That would make sense. Yeah.
It's like a different.
No, it should be
I
under,
haven't really
right?
thought
It
much
should,
about it, to be honest with you.
it's usually arranged under natural resources.
RMI, yeah, RMD. RM.
Here's our update.
It is, even though it's in the wrong committee, it's technically advertised, so we can still do it, right?
Yeah, that's. fine.
Yes,
That's
yes,
totally
yes,
fine.
yes.
Let's just that way.
Let me not waste time, and I'm going to go ahead and say what I was going to say. So with the planning committee, it will be considering our 2026 park bond. And so we are in the cusp of a major milestone with that anticipated adoption tonight by the full board. It's been a multi-year effort by staff and by our board, and there's a lot of time and energy that's going into that. And I'm really proud of the effort that's been put forth. And not only that, we have been assembling over at least the past year, if not beyond. Before that, the building blocks to create this metric-based framework, which is going to be, and content, which we're going to be using for the future. So to do that, we clearly had to lay the foundation for that new approach by commissioning studies such as PROSA, by adopting tools such as Perry and other things to be able to make that happen. And then, of course, to create the equity lens focused analysis. So we also, though, at the same time, had to have a procedure for closing out the 2016 and 2020 park bonds and the funds and the projects that were in that. We adopted guidance in 2023 that we were not going to carry projects across bond cycles, except for very unique cases like Mount Vernon and Audrey Moore Rec Centers. There were no grandfathered or exempt projects from that general guidance. And then for that reason, and also to help support our bridge funding, we then had to reallocate funding for projects that were not going to be carried forward. And we did some of that early last year, and we also just in our last PAB meeting, some additional funds that were left over from projects that have been completed under budget. Great, and thank you again to staff for that great effort, and allocated to those different projects that we were going to try to complete by the time before our bond funds expired. So saying all of that, it brings us to the culmination tonight of that multi-year effort and to the adoption of the park bond. And we're going to be hearing more about that later on for the second item on the Language Committee.
I would debate much of what you've said, but we're not in that committee.
I know. Right.
And just so you know, it was my intention to just let everything go without kicking and screaming tonight. So it really didn't have to make that speech.
Thank you. I thought it was also useful to thank staff and everybody here around the table for their efforts.
It only took 3 minutes to. It only took 3 minutes. We have 7 minutes.
That's why. 3 minutes to go.
We've got 2 events coming up this weekend. We've got Tefra. All right, so
For ICA.
CA, and then we have, what is this one on anything? What's
But McLean, we have McLean Day in McLean.
About the emails,
And we
yeah, the other one about our.
Polar heat on Linwood Street in the town of Herman. Both Saturday.
Have anyone yet?
So much for this.
We do.
That's really good.
I think it's a first time.
Never get there.
Weather's
nice there.
I've been on it. Oh, should.
Yes. You've never been to Tefra?
Yes.
Okay, so now that I know you're a bird.
When is that?
Yes, Saturday.
Weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
Several, that's how they do it.
We have
What are they doing?
coordinator for
Talking about that.
Carolina.
Spend both days there.
Saturday.
Before the Tefra.
So she played.
To like put the plants out.
I think we finished.
I need to get the early 50s.
It was like the. Usually for. But I guess it.
I've been all the different egrets and herons.
It's
Like
a
And the owners, Dave and I met them at,
But I'm a huge weather. But
like right in the house right across the street.
it has not been.
Dude,
I've been on the other side.
Like act really pretty.
Eastern Shore, and actually if you go down into Charlotte,
We're
there's, yeah, so there's
I Jeff Todd, though, sometimes it sounds like a.
side on the ocean.
like very focused on.
Yeah, that whole area.
I am the opposite. Not today.
I'm just caring about a bag.
Yeah, and he was
This
this guy.
It is.
uh,
Goose.
Strike me as like just moved to that house 2 years ago.
My husband, my son speak, that's you. In spring, whatever. Go walk.
This is the time.
I'll put on pants, whatever. I could be off by like 20 degrees. My husband's like, what are you wearing? It's like snowing outside. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. This evening, what happens? Like this. Wake up and ask Alexa, weather. I'm like, I just.
I'm just. Oh my God.
Done.
Have you ever played since time? Specifically as a. Yeah. I would pose like.
I mean,
I'm told that Cynthia has joined online, so we're going to go ahead and read her in.
Just make sure it lasts 4 minutes.
So, it's the wrong one. Let me get the right script. Or to read her in. Here we go. Virginia law authorizes the remote participation of board members, provided their policy exists to ensure that such remote participation is consistently administered. This board has approved policy 111. Any such remote attendance must be approved by the board as long as a physical quorum of the board is actually present, which it is. Voices of the remote participants are able to be heard by everyone in the room, and the remote participation reports with the policy. Verification to remote participants' voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate level for the meeting room. Confirmation of their location. Dr. Carter, are you connected to this meeting remotely?
Yes, I am.
And from where are you calling?
I am joining from my home in Franconia District.
I move that Dr. Cynthia Jacob Carter's voice may be adequately heard in this location.
This is Bill Bowie, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Verification pursuant to the Park Authority's policy 111 for remote participation in public meetings. I move that Dr. Cynthia Jacobs Carter be permitted to participate remotely in this meeting because it comports with the policy we adopted. A physical quorum is present here at the Heritage Building, Park Authority boardroom.
I second that motion.
And discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So Cynthia, welcome. Still have about 3 minutes until we convene the planning committee.
I can't wait. Thank you.
I think I needed to prepare something, but I guess I'll have to have something. Guitar and play. Maybe I'll try to do.
How many times? No, that's what all the teams meetings are.
Oh, yeah.
Reading.
Real slow, so let me check my own.
Mississippi State University.
Oh, doing what?
Salem.
Yeah,
So look at studying.
No one this.
That's why we put it for this time, because you guys actually want to talk to us, right? You guys used to joke around about that all the time.
It was no joke.
No, I know, but before we used to end earlier, so now when I look at the clock, it's like.
Yeah, I try to tag along with you.
Go later.
too much life to go to bed. Coming through there.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to get that.
15.
I'm gonna try to get out there.
Take one.
I mean, we used to board meetings and.
Some of them.
The permits.
Oh my God.
The floor is yours.
I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee to order.
Anymore.
And, with that said, am I going to turn it over to the dear lady?
Dear
Turn it over to John Burke.
Dr. Dear Lady, there you go.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. I'm here to introduce Dr. Katie Edwards and Dave Lawler. So Dr. Edwards administers the Fairfax County Deer Management Program. Dave serves as liaison and subject matter expert for wildlife for Park Authority. So I'll let them.
Great, thanks, John, and good evening to everyone. Dr. Deer Lady, as I've now been nicknamed. Tonight, we just wanted to give you our annual update of the Deer Management Program. Jump right in. It's hard to believe deer management's actually been ongoing for more than 30 years now. For those that may not be as familiar, the program was mandated by the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors back in fiscal year '98. Really in response to concerns from county residents about the growing population of deer and conflicts posed by overabundant deer that initially concerned primarily safety issues related to a high number of deer vehicle collisions occurring annually within the county. Also health concerns related to public health involving tick-borne illnesses primarily, as well as now deer herd health taking the forefront, and then ecological impacts associated with deer herbivory and overbrowsing by deer. And because of this, the goal really is to reduce the population to more sustainable levels over time to minimize those impacts for residents and for wildlife. Programs administered through our police department in partnership with the Fairfax County Park Authority, Nova Parks, and other public landholders. Here we have the statistics from last season for fiscal year 2026. Deer herd reduction activities took place in 111 parks owned by the Fairfax County Park Authority. In total, on county parkland, we had 611 deer harvested. The majority of those were through the archery program, with 569 deer harvested through archery and 42 deer harvested through police sharpshooting efforts. We had 496 volunteer hunters that participated in the archery program, donating just shy of 32,000 hours for hunting and scouting as a service to the county. In total, counting non-FCPA properties, we had 752 deer harvested for the program last season. Again, archery continues to be the most cost-effective and successful method that we have, being able to implement it in parks while they're still remaining open to the public because of the strict safety measures that we impart. And archery represented 91% of the total harvest last season. Here we show graphs showing the total deer harvest since the program began in '98 and the contribution of each management method since fiscal year 2010, which is really when we implemented the archery program and expanded that over time. Over 17,800 deer have been harvested through the program since it began, and we saw those harvests substantially increase, shown here in the green bars on the graph, after the archery program was implemented. We've noticed that the hunter harvests have been declining over recent years, and we attribute that in part to the reduction of deer through the county program. It's being successful in lowering that population over time. And also there's other factors that contribute to that in terms of hunter variation, weather events, and also changes in park use and recreation that impact deer management activities. Throughout the program, we have different metrics that we monitor to determine if the program's being successful and to really look at the deer population over time and the reduction of impacts over time. One of those is actually estimating the deer population through deer density surveys. Previously, we conducted deer density surveys using game cameras to estimate deer visiting a bait station. However, with the detection of chronic wasting disease in the county, which I'll cover here shortly, we're no longer allowed to use bait for camera surveys, and so we had to explore other methods of estimating the deer population. Over the past 2 years, we've contracted with a vendor, and the Park Authority has funded and contracted with Stuart Green to conduct aerial drone surveys to measure deer density in select parks. The vendor was able to conduct surveys in 7 county parks, approximately 2,400 acres, in mid-February, and currently that final report is pending. We're expecting it relatively quickly for the county parks that were surveyed. I'm going to turn it over to Dave here to discuss the browse impact.
Excuse me. Is that just in the western part of the county, or do they have special permits to do it elsewhere in the county from FAA, or how does that?
They have to get FAA authorization. The parks that were conducted this past February were a continuation of last year's surveys because they weren't able to get FAA authorization initially for all of them. One of them this season was Huntley Meadows. So because of the flight restrictions there, it took them longer time to get that approval. So they were able to conduct Huntley Meadows this season.
Sorry for the interruption.
I'll turn it over to Dave for the browse surveys.
Hi, everyone. So to support the deer management program, I survey 557 permanent vegetation plots across the county in 63 parks. They're sampled every 4 years. These are used to assess deer browse and the impacts to our native vegetation, woody vegetation specifically. Our scores range from 1 being no browse observed to 5 being severely browsed. In fiscal year 26, I surveyed 154 browse plots in 21 parks included in the deer management program. Of those surveys, out of those 21 parks, 13 parks had impacts trending down, 4 had parks trending up, and 4 had static trends. So about 60% of our surveys are trending downward, which is a good sign. Hand it back to Katie.
Sure. One of the other metrics that we're following is the number of deer vehicle collisions that occur within the county. These are reportable deer vehicle collisions that are reported through police reports through the traffic records electronic data system. They include not all collisions with deer, but these are the ones that include injury, fatality, or extensive property damage over $1,500. What we've seen is that on average, there's about 101 reportable deer vehicle collisions or DVCs occurring annually in Fairfax County since 2010, ranging between 75 and 120 deer vehicle collisions during that time frame. Overall, we do see a declining trend in reportable deer vehicle collisions, which is a positive impact. We've seen that these numbers have fluctuated over the years, but are steadily declining and have remained at the lower level after the addition of the archery program. We can't say for certain that the deer program itself, is responsible for that. We know there's multiple other factors that are unrelated to deer density that contribute to those accidents. But again, that is a positive trend that those collisions are remaining at the lower level over time.
On whose obligation does the duty to report property damage collisions fall? Is it on the driver, or on the collision, on the repair shop?
That I am not certain. I would have to find out. I mean, those are ones that the police have responded to, but I'm not sure if that's who's doing the reporting there or what's mandated by law.
There is an obligation to report or not? It's only ones that the police have responded to.
Voluntary report.
I am not certain on that. I can find out though.
Thanks.
And that's why we know this is a minimum estimate of the number of collisions occurring, since we know there's other collisions that are not reportable, not having extensive damage or injury, that are only reported to insurance companies and not calculated in this total here. Looking forward to fiscal year 27 in terms of changes. Good news, we're not making any major changes with the program. We're not looking to add any parks to either archery or sharpshooting next season. Trying to maintain status quo in terms of methodology and the parks that are included. Archery will be conducted same season length beginning Saturday, September 12th through February 13th. We're not going to be conducting any managed shotgun hunts within the Sully Woods area, and we've transitioned most of that to the archery program. And then the sharpshooting parks that we're including have all been used in prior years, and we'll conduct those operations in November and March going forward as we typically do. We have various means of notifying the public of the deer management program. We really want to be transparent in the activities and make them aware of what we're doing. We send out postcards to immediate neighbors that are bordering parks included in the program. We used to send a letter that was pretty lengthy, and we're finding people were probably just trashing it, not reading it. So we're sending postcards now that have basic information about the program, the dates for the timeframe that sharpshooting and archery are going to be conducted, as well as a QR code that links directly to the deer management web pages. We are going to be posting a narrated webinar that goes on the deer management website every August that can be shared in newsletters or social media, however you think is appropriate. We meet individually with homeowners, HOAs, civic associations, etc., that either reach out to us wanting more information, or if we start to hear complaints or concerns from community members. We have press releases that we send out. The police department always sends out a media release in September, immediately prior to the archery program beginning. It's after Labor Day, but a couple days before archery starts. We hang the fluorescent orange signs in the parks prior to archery beginning. And then again, we have that one-on-one communication with anyone that reaches out to us with inquiries or concerns related to the program. Moving on to chronic wasting disease, this has become one of the primary issues that we've been dealing with the deer management program over the past several years. For those that might not be as familiar, chronic wasting disease, we refer to it as CWD, is an incurable disease found in deer, elk, and moose in North America. It's a slow-acting and progressive neurologic disease caused by a prion. It's an abnormal protein, and it ultimately results in death of the animal. There's no cure, there's no treatment, and there's no vaccine for chronic wasting disease. We started doing surveillance for CWD 7 years ago to be proactive, knowing that it was coming closer to Fairfax County borders. And we've done this in coordination with the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, Park Authority, and Police Department working together, as well as hunters in the county program. We've established several freezer stations throughout county parks where hunters can submit samples for testing through the archery program. Within the archery program, we have a mandatory test period in the months of October and November, and then voluntary after that. And then we also test all of the deer that are harvested through police sharpshooting efforts prior to donating them for food. DWR also has sampling stations that are set up throughout the county for deer that are harvested by hunters on private land, but that's separate from the surveillance measures that we do here within the county program. Unfortunately, during the fiscal year 2023 deer season, the Department of Wildlife Resources did confirm CWD in a deer that was harvested on private land in the Wolf Trap area of Vienna within Fairfax County. Following that detection, the county was added to a disease management area known as DMA2. And with that comes additional regulatory actions to try and limit the spread of CWD. That includes restrictions on deer carcass transport. There is a year-round feeding ban for deer. There's restrictions on rehabilitation of deer fawns, as well as increased surveillance and testing requirements in certain areas. Last season, we were able to test over 73% of the deer that were harvested through the Fairfax County Deer Management Program. In total, this was 505 deer that were tested on 104 different parks and properties throughout Fairfax County, as well as 2 parks in the town of Vienna. We partnered with Town of Vienna last year at their request to include deer management there through sharpshooting. Of the deer tested, the majority of those, about 88% of the submissions, were from hunter harvested deer through the county's archery program. Unfortunately, in the terms of results, there was 1 deer harvested on county parkland that was determined to be positive for CWD. This was a 2.5-year-old buck that was harvested by a hunter in the county's archery program in the Vienna section of Difficult Run Stream Valley. This was part of the mandatory testing period, so the hunter submitted that. We conducted the testing, sent it out for laboratory confirmation, and it tested positive. While it's unfortunate, it's not entirely unexpected, as this location is with a 1.5-mile radius of that initial detection back in fiscal year 2023 in the Wolf Trap area. All of the other deer that were tested through the county program in Fairfax County, as well as the town of Vienna, came back as CWD not detected. Additional news that we learned last week from the Department of Wildlife Resources, which is not included in the slide here, is that there was an additional deer that was harvested on private land in Fairfax County that also tested positive for CWD. This was in the Walney area of Chantilly, just east of Eleanor C. Lawrence Park. So they've been doing surveillance there as well. I confirmed with them today that those are the only 2 deer this season that have tested positive within Fairfax County. In total, since we've started surveillance back in fiscal year 2020, we've tested 2,131 deer county program, encompassing 127 different parks and properties in collaboration with DWR and hunters. Again, the majority of those, 84%, are from the archery program, and then various breakdown here of other methods. Again, based on what we know, we've only had 3 confirmed positives in the county. And talking to DWR today, based on the sampling intensity and extensive testing that we are doing through the county program, as well as submissions on private land in Fairfax County, the DWR considers us still to have a very low prevalence rate of CWD within the county. So that is positive news that at least it's keeping it at that very low level. Going forward, we're going to continue doing CWD testing using the same methodology, but encouraging greater harvest from the hunters in the program. We'll be reaching out to the clusters that are directly next to these positives as we go into the next season to encourage greater testing. We've already reinforced with them and notified them about the positive at Difficult Run Stream Valley. That hunter was notified directly by the DWR. We notified the hunters of the positive, the rest of the hunters in the program. We also reinforced best management practices relating to deer processing, deer carcass handling, and taxidermy, as well as the CDC guidance related to human health and CWD. And that is all I have for the program update. That's not us. And we'd like to open it up to questions.
I just had a question about you were mentioning that we have overall low prevalence for CWD. What's the level, what would a level of prevalence be that would make us want to, scale back on the deer harvesting because there's a natural, phenomenon at work that's reducing deer?
I don't think there is going to become a time where scaling back deer management or deer harvesting is going to be the answer. They basically encourage more liberal harvest and reducing the population at a greater number to limit those contacts between deer and the potential for spread. In other areas where they have, a higher prevalence rate, they're not scaling back on hunting or culling efforts. They're really wanting to increase.
You're trying to harvest those deer that have it, so they're not coming into contact, or you're just trying to reduce the overall population so they're not.
We're trying to reduce overall population, but adding the testing in there to monitor herd health and keep track of that to determine if it is, getting more established within the county and how that's spreading.
So there's not an issue. I mean, are there areas where it's become very intense, like the CWD has become very intense? And
not in Fairfax County, since we only have the known 3 positives, but for example, CWD is thought to have entered into Virginia through Frederick County and the northwest corner from West Virginia. It's much higher prevalence rate in that area where they used to do mandatory testing and other, they still have restrictions that I've outlined here with the feeding ban and carcass transport and all of that. But they've lessened the mandatory testing requirements since they know it's already been firmly established in that area. So right now the DWR is really expending resources to do intensive surveillance and more mandatory testing in other areas to determine, where else it's spreading and what that prevalence is in other counties.
So like in that area, they are both having more and more deer dying because of the CWD, and they're also increasing their harvesting efforts. So they're overall reducing their deer population.
I don't know that there's data showing that more deer are dying from CWD versus that they are positive for CWD. So CWD is a very slow acting disease. It could take years to manifest symptoms. And so most of the deer that are testing positive actually appear healthy and are not showing outward signs of disease. It's rare to come across deer that are in those late stages where they're showing extreme emaciation and loss of coordination and neurologic symptoms. There are a handful of them within the state that have shown those late stages of disease, but it's rare. And so most of them are acting and functioning as normal deer are, but they have contracted this illness and are able to spread that.
Great work by you guys.
Stealing my.
Fantastic work. You used to give us a statistic with the archers on what their success rate was. Do you have that?
In terms,
They were, because all of the arrows were tagged and you were able to tell us exactly what the harvesting percentage was based on the number of arrows shot.
yes, the non-recovery rate last season for the program total was 11%. That is something that has gone up a couple percent over the years. We've been trying different methods to see really, what's the bottom line with that, what's causing that. We've increased qualifications, we've increased hunter orientations. Some of that is just the nature of the use of archery in parks where the deer aren't found immediately or maybe pushed by activity in the parks. So again, it's something that we're continuing to research into how to get that rate lowered over time. One thing I didn't mention, another metric that we have been reporting in the past 2 or 3 years is, so whenever our hunters are in the parks and they have a conversation with an individual, we have them report that to us. If it's just a hi and bye, we don't have them, but if they have any meaningful conversations or anything said to them related to, opinions on the program, we have them report that as either a positive or a negative interaction. So we know what's going on in the parks and what the community sentiment is towards that. And 97% of the interactions last season are positive. We only had 5 interactions that were reported to hunters in the program that they would classify as being negative. And that can be anything from someone who might not be supportive of lethal management measures. It can also be something as simple as the hunter, they don't like someone parking in the parking area because that's where they normally would park their vehicle. So it really, ranges in terms of what the complaints are with the program. But overall, we have very high percentage of positivity with the public related to the program that's reported to our hunters.
So you mentioned there was a total of 3 deer that tested for CWD. Yeah, 2 this year and then the 1 in 2023. We had nothing in 24 and 25.
Yeah, all the deer that were tested through our program and on private land by the state came back not detected during those timeframes.
Any concern that, because obviously the 2 deer were in the wolf trap area, but now we've got a second area.
That's something I'll have to discuss with DWR since we just learned about the one last week. The closest one that I'm aware of to that deer would be in Manassas Battlefield. A deer tested positive in Manassas Battlefield. It's the first detection in Prince William County. That was not this season, but the prior season. So I'll have to discuss with DWR. I don't know what the results are for Prince William this season to see if there's anything additional there that we need to start, looking at. But again, we'll be reaching out to the hunt clusters in that area. It's our Cub Run cluster as well as our Elk Lick cluster to cover the parks that are in between that to see if we can get some more intensive sampling done.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So the best thing we can do, to manage the disease, is to keep deer densities as low as we can.
Bill's comment about you used to, it's testament to, you've been doing this a long time.
Almost 12 years.
First time here, right?
For sure. I mean, when you first started doing it, it was a lot less accepted than it is today.
Yes.
I believe a lot of that acceptance is because of your calm demeanor, matter of fact, but wealth of knowledge. Again, having a calming effect, and you've managed this very, very well from my perspective. Thank you very, very much for your hard work.
Thank you. And I want to give accolades to Dave in the Natural Resources Branch. We couldn't do the CWD sampling. Dave probably did half the sampling, him and one of our staff members, Tony Bulmer, who used to work with parks. They really are the ones that were in there every day doing the sampling. And so this is a testament to them and the work that they put in there. We couldn't do the program without assistance with the Park Authority. We really appreciate that.
You've probably taken a lot more abuse than he has to on the front end person.
I get the emails and the phone calls. They get to do the field work portions. Thank you. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let me, John Tree. Who's gonna lead this part of it? Is it you, Jay, or something?
No, it's Mohammed and
Heather.
Oh, to answer your question, Mohammed and I, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mohammed. I am the Art Development Division Action Assistant Division Director, and Heather is the branch manager with the Park Development Division. She's going to go through the presentation for Clemmy.
Good evening. Tonight, Park Development is presenting a scope item for approval for the strategy of the funding of the design and construction of Clement John Tree Park revitalization, and she's going to do the next slide for us. Sorry. Okay, today's agenda. Tonight's agenda will feature the signature parks where every child can play, the scope item, funding, and timeline. Next slide. Okay, a signature park draws more than a local or neighborhood interest, but serves as a destination park for a region with a unique resources. Clement John Tree is just one example of our signature parks, such as Huntley Meadows, Riverbend, Lake Fairfax, Burke Lake, Frying Pan, Green Spring Gardens, Lake Accokeek, LA Historic, and Patriot Park North. Next slide, please. Clement John Tree opened in 2006. The ADA standards at that time was just to accommodate. Today, ADA standards have evolved with higher engineered, measurable, and enforceable, which we recently applied at Reston North, Mount Vernon Woods, and High Blue Valley. As you can tell by the wear and tear, Clement John Tree is low. Park Development is looking to bring Clement John Tree to the higher ADA standards, but also renovate the playground as a whole versus just places pieces one by one. Next slide, please. Anticipating the need to analyze the entire play space at Clement John Tree, Park Development initiated an RFP for the architectural engineering firm to provide high-level approaches for a new and improved park. Realizing that both public and private funds will ultimately be needed, our authority determined that investing in a park design will greatly help with conveying a vision, raising funds. A selective advisory committee was formed to review applicants, and Hare Shout was selected as designer to keep the original playground motto where every child can play and bring it to today's standards with a multi-generational design. The love of Clement John Tree shows in the wear and tear, heavy use of the equipment, which they have reached a lifespan. In the red outlined area, this demonstrates the area of the project. Note the carousel, parking, shelter, and restrooms are not included. The project team will be mindful of this and other critical amenities within the park as this project proceeds to identify features that may need replacement in advance of reopening the park. Next slide, please. Besides the age and extra love received, 20 years ago, Clement John Tree was created with a curriculum base with many fun educational features. Vision now is to bring the playground up to date, including new science, nature, insights. As we all know, kids learn so much through play. Next slide, please. Funding. Design portion of the project is being funded with general fund sinking funds. Design is to be scalable depending on the funding received by the construction through the 2026 bond and fundraising efforts with the assistance from Park Foundation. Clement John Tree was built as the Park Foundation's first major campaign. It was a great partnership then, and looking forward to recreating this effort again with this project. It took a public-private effort to open Clement John Tree 20 years ago. We envision a strong public and private funding effort, bringing Clement Johntrey to the next level. Next slide, please. The timeline is to start design summer 2026 with coordination with the Park Foundation and public outreach efforts during fall 2026. Today, we are requesting approval on the strategy to start design now with the expectation of construction during the upcoming bond cycle. Park Development expects to return to the board by the work plan process at the appropriate time to seek scope approval for the construction before the end of the 2026 bond cycle. This completes the presentation. Questions and thank you.
Before questions, I just want to make a couple of points that this is weird. In that through the process, if we do use general fund sinking fund and then they all go off and Park Foundation is super successful and they raise all the money. There's not a funding ask here because it would have been, well, it would have been to put on the work plan for the foundation. And so sinking fund doesn't generally come. So we're coming, there's not a CIP ask, but you need to know we're doing, we need to know we're doing it, even though we're using general fund sinking fund dollars, because you're going to hear about it. The other thing is this is a long process. So the managing of people, they're going to be very excited. But in order to raise money, we have to have it signed. So it's really to start like wetting people's whistle to have something to go out there and sell. So that's the two things that I want.
Just to clarify, try to raise a lot of money. I mean, swallow hard. I mean, I mentioned this to Jimmy this morning in terms of that this was coming before the board, and he was delighted at the prospect, but also was swallowing hard as I was in terms of the heavy lift to fundraise. And the intention would be to fundraise as much as we can and rely on bond funds as little as we can, so that we can perhaps redirect those bond funds elsewhere. The other thing is, given our Audrey Moore cash flow needs and other upfront cash flow needs for this bond cycle, this project, unless we fully fund it with fundraising dollars, is not likely to happen until the end of the cycle. And that's one of the reasons why the costs are so high, because we had to build in a lot of cost increases and contingencies to come up with a final project number. And the other thing is it's scalable. If we don't raise all the money, we can still build the basic concept and add on from or expand from there. So
One thing I'll say, unless somebody comes in with all the money, in which case we can build it tomorrow. If anybody's listening,
right.
and they want to, it's less than that, and we can go, yeah.
Well, the most important thing about asking people for money, they want to see what their money's going to be spent for. So coming up with this plan and having it as nice and
Getting
complete
excited.
as possible, hopefully we'll make this one of the easier things that we've ever had to fundraise for. Certainly an honorable, popular cause. And you can just point to, its use over the years and that kind of thing, and just fun little facts and stuff like that. You can see it in aerial photographs and stuff, all this stuff.
Let me John Tree. See it.
It's a landmark as you fly into Reagan.
Yep.
Flying south, you fly right over, you can't miss it.
Maybe we should have welcome to Washington on.
Yeah. This.
Welcome to Washington with an arrow, to CIA.
Right.
CIA.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that often.
Consensus for this.
Scope.
Could not be any more, but.
So, question for you. So, have we talked to McLean Moms about the
Literally, we have not, this is the
very
beginning.
beginning? Okay.
We're at the very, we
And then-
wouldn't talk to
and then-
McLean Moms until we talked to you guys. You guys even knew that this was a thing. Yeah.
Second question. Are we just doing one design, or are we doing like, I think we had one recently where we had sort of like light, like target, and then like, this is
Yeah.
what we could achieve kind of thing. So we're doing like that kind of,
That's a scalable.
That's a scale.
okay. So same kind of thing. Cause I think if we have different options and then community groups, I'm not going to name any names on those groups, see that there's potentially ways we could go big on this, then I think we're likely to raise more money
Yeah.
to get to those targets.
And that was the
decision.
decision we made later on, is
Right.
to like get closer to 2033. We take, it's like gambling. Are we taking it at 8 million? Are we taking it at 8, which we're doing the $8 million option? So everybody understands we're not doing this option. We're losing these ones because we didn't raise all the funds. But we don't want to design the 12 million and then raise 8 and then be out of a project in general. So it is totally scalable from what, 5 to 12, so roughly, whatever we will put in the contract.
Too early to ask that if you actually got the money, how long this would take to do? How long would you have to close it down to do the
It would
rest?
be closed.
It would, yeah, that's what I would imagine, given the scope of work. Is there any time frame on it, or is that just at this point?
Yeah, if the question is about construction wise, like how long the construction may take, we're probably gonna look at a year and a half, from the beginning to, ribbon cutting.
So do I even have to ask if there's consensus to move this on?
Can I ask just one clarifying question? But so the landscape architect put a $5 million-ish proposal forward, but we think it's 12. So I was just trying to figure out what that gap is there.
So usually Virginia's weird. We'll start with that. Yeah, it's weird. Amy's not here, so I can't
we
like,
love it.
we love it. We do love it. I really do. But Amy's not here, so I can talk about it. So it's very engineering forward. And so generally speaking, when we're doing Virginia's, when we're doing, no offense, but when we're doing playgrounds and stuff, everything is like very engineering forward and not landscape architect design forward. So what we did, so we put out we did something completely different that we've never done. We did an RFP for with the LA landscape architect as a primary. So that somebody came in and they presented to us through the RFP process of different design, like ideas, and they had to bring in, talk about the ADA. They had to talk about all of the stuff, the theme and all of those things. As part of the project, and correct me if I'm, is we asked them to provide a design. You had to give them a thing, give us a design with a $5 million.
Oh, okay.
So we did that. So that was the idea. Now, we're not taking their design because obviously we have to go to the public, but we needed to see, do they get it? Do they understand?
Assessment.
Right, do they understand the importance of this? Do they seem like the people who could go into McLean and other places and blah, blah, blah? And so we did that, the 5 million. Now, once we pick them, we now have them as design. We can now tell them what the budget we want them to design.
Gotcha.
It for. We're not limiting, but we had to do something to be able to, because you have to budget, otherwise you're seeing $40 million, park, which is gorgeous, right? But yeah.
Thank you. That helps.
So consensus, moving on.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Who's next up? Is it Torsia or TJ or?
What's the next one?
Any slot?
Oh, me. Sorry, but it's like, do you guys want to just all come up and sit in an empty seat? No matter which stage you're in. Everybody. While we're walking down here, I just wanted to, Tim's point about how long we've been working on this in general. I just wanted to thank staff. This is a different approach. They've embraced it in general. Every single division director here, even if they're not sitting at the table, I'm looking out at Brendan and Brian and Mohammed, who else is here that's not, and Deidria. Everybody's been involved in all of it. John Burke, everybody's been involved in all of the office. Do we have somebody else that we're waiting for? Got it? Okay, we can fit. Okay, good. The process, they've done a phenomenal job. Now we're landing the plane. It's the final presentation. So because they did all of the work, we're gonna let them do the slides on their rock. I also appreciate the fact that, I'm looking at Deidria, I also appreciate, because Kyle's not here, I also appreciate the fact that everybody's like embraced the iconic rocks, the bag of rocks in general, that now you just can't. Iconic, well, that's Deidria's words, Linwood, like she says iconic, so I repeat. I know, I'm lying, I'm totally lying. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so just as I'm going to go through a little bit of the background. Again, our new funding strategy with the CIP is very cash flow based. Josh is going to walk us through sort of how that is in real world with our work plan later on. There's going to be general referendum language. We're going to give you an example of what the example of what the referendum language is going to look at. There are limitations to the referendum language that if you have any questions on that, we'll just bring out, send up here if you want to come up, sit in the first place. Again, we're going to revisit priorities and categories on a 2-year period for maximum flexibility. This is huge in terms of being able to be flexible and deal with surprise things that come on. We're going to, every 2 years, we can revisit everything, including the amount in the rocks, the work plan, everything, just to figure out sort of what's happening. If aliens land, we need to helipad, alien helipad, we can do that. Now we don't have to wait 6 years. This bond is only going to include projects that are fully funded or pre-approved. As Tim said, that was the commitment that we made to DNB in the county, pre-approved for the next CIP. So if you recall, we brought Audrey Moore a year and a half ago for approval, because it was going to be in the next bonds. That's the only one that we got pre-approval for. Funding strategy is very data-driven, and it creates staff owners. I think that this is really important to have people own the rock. So each person who's going to speak is consider them an owner of that rock. And so they know the what's happening, even if that project is not in their wheelhouse. Like Laura's going to talk about her rock, just new construction rock, and there might be things that are not right. There might be things in there that are not being done out of her division or managed out of her division, but she's going to be the one who knows how much it's cost, because she's going to be doing the red line list. So that's really important that we had that. Before it was kind of all over the place. So there really was no one person, one brain. So each rock now has a brain, and you'll hear from the brains in a second. Next slide. Okay, so within the rocks, because we're going all in on the rocks, right? Within the rocks, there are little mini rocks. The rocks can be separated out into different categories. And so we thought it was important to revisit all of the rocks, but also tell you what is included in each rock. So each rock has different subcategories. So we'll go through those subcategories of what's in there as well. And next slide, I think I'm turning over. Okay, so Portia owns the whole Park Rock. Take it away, Portia.
So for the whole Park Rock, that was one of the first presentations for one of the rocks that we came to the board with. For the whole park, we have two different types. One would be new park development, and the other would be renovation, which is we have an existing park, but it needs different elements in it that are in either D or F condition that needs to be revamped. The total dollar amount dedicated to this rock is $19 million, but also remember that includes the Clemmy project that a development just came for, and that's $5 million off the top of this. So technically you're reducing this by $5 million. The whole Park Rock, again, we might, throughout the 6 years for the CIP, we might only be able to get 2 new parks, that's Old Centerville and Poe Terrace, and 2 renovation, which is the Woodlawn and South Lakes Drive. In our analysis and prioritization, what we had was a very even distribution of the number of redevelopment parks and the number of new parks. Also, it was geographically very well spread out in terms of the district representation. Once again, as you have seen this before, but just to rehash that once again, is the cost estimate that you see in the column, which we have assumed to be $4 million for new parks and $3 million for redevelopment parks. That accounts for some of the inflation that might happen by the time these parks get built. But also we have kind of set aside this funding because that allows for public input, and sometimes the scope might actually be bigger than what the master plan is. So there it allows a little bit of flexibility in raising that a specific park design, but that also means that some other park might suffer because of that. What we want to do, again, to mention that, is find different ways and different pots of money to get through this list, so that using the CIP dollars, we can get through as many of the parks as possible.
Before you leave this slide, I think we can talk about, and we're kind of calling this the red line slide. We have Clemmy at the bottom. Again, depending on how much we raise, that pops that red line down. We raise enough for Clemmy to be able to pay for it. That puts Groveton Heights and possibly Tyler in the mix, right? We finish all of the other ones and we have $3 million, but Groveton Heights is, we estimate that to be, because it's a new park, 4.5, then we would pop Tyler up possibly, because Tyler might be 2.5. So that's how these lists work, where they might not be exactly sequential, but what it does is we want to be able to fit in these puzzle pieces to make that 19 million work for us. Or we might come back and say, hey, Providence Rec Center just flooded, we had an issue with Providence Rec Center. We need $1 million to do X. We might need to move that over to do that. So that's where that flexibility really comes in.
And also to mention that these parks, when we are talking about deferred maintenance and all of the other parts, a lot of those are elements of these parks, especially the redevelopment parks. The next one is Laura's.
So good evening, I'm Laura Grape, Resource Management and Interpretation Division Director. So as Torsia was talking about the redevelopment or the establishment of new parks, this is looking at planning, designing, and constructing an amenity within a park or establishing a new park feature. We are looking at these in a manner that we are meeting new demand or adding functionality, expanding capacity at an existing facility or site. And about $9 million has been established for this rock. So as we are looking at how we make decisions related to new construction, or we also call it new amenities, we've kind of used it interchangeably a little bit. We're utilizing all of the current studies in order to feed into our larger decision-making processes for priorities for utilization of bond funds. Many of these studies are already in progress, and their recommendations are going to be incorporated into our annual work plans as we're bringing priorities forward to you. The plans and studies inform those, and an example of that is from our needs assessment. We know that trails and accessible crossings are a top interest for our community. And so our countywide trail plan will help to identify where those opportunities are and those priorities are across our system. And you'll see in this slide just some relative costs associated with establishing a new mile of trail or replacing a bridge. So again, there's a little bit of flexibility there as we identify priorities across the system. Some of the other amenities, the new amenities such as playgrounds or shelters, athletic courts, are also going to be informed by studies we just discussed as part of the third quarter carryover conversation. The idea of the playground study, that is something that will again help to inform where we have additional needs and where there is gaps or deserts in our system that need to be prioritized and filled. Enterprise facilities or revenue generating facilities, those are based on demand. We develop business plans that again help to understand how we operate those different facilities and what the overall needs are. But just as Jay mentioned, again, the selection of these projects is a balancing act. We want to be flexible so that we maintain an optimal position when there are opportunities that come up, so that we're being both strategic as well as opportunistic with our resources. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kim.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Eckert. I'm the Division Director for Park Operations. I have the pleasure tonight to review with you the deferred capital renovations rock. So this includes the planning, design, and construction to repair, replace, and upgrade park facilities. As a reminder, this includes life cycle replacement, athletic fields, playgrounds, trails, shelters, athletic courts, amusements, and a lot of other park infrastructure. We did recommend the 51 million, but as a reminder, we're recommending that 37 million be allocated to deferred maintenance of park amenities, and the remaining 14 million be allocated across various unique projects in resource management, golf, and support facilities, for a total of 51 million. All right, so here you see it all in one slide. So here's where we distributed the allocated funding across asset categories proportionate to the need. During this process, we ensured distribution covered all F-rated assets plus any unique assets. As a reminder, the higher the percentage of D and F ratings that an asset category has, compared to the other categories, the higher the percentage of bond funding we recommend applying. As an example here, in terms of athletic fields, this will certainly help us with a lot of athletic field renovations, much needed athletic field renovations. We just recently did one that was right around 100,000. So we certainly don't have that kind of money to invest in all of our athletic fields. So this will certainly help. And then here you see our red line list. You've seen this before for playgrounds. So here's just a quick look again at our playground backlog. The playgrounds above the red line are those recommended addressing through the deferred capital renovations distribution. As previously discussed, the anticipated deferred capital renovations funding won't be enough to cover all the D-rated playgrounds. And putting it all together with all of our rocks, mini rocks, Here you see the distribution strategy for the total of 51 million. We don't have the mini rocks for RMI and golf in there, but they are certainly included in that 51 million for a total of 14 million for RMI and golf. Pass it back to Torsia.
Oh, sorry.
Don't drop the rock.
Okay, so the next rock that we are going to talk about is the natural, cultural, and land acquisition rock. What we have done from the different from the previous times is that we have combined the land acquisition with the natural and cultural resource rock. The reason being that a lot of the times when we are looking at potential acquisition of parcel, we will look at whether it adds to the natural and cultural resources that we already have within the county. And of course, the other times we're looking at providing potential recreational opportunities. So it made sense to club them into one rock, which also allows a little bit of a flexibility where money can move from the land acquisition to natural and cultural resources and back to land acquisition, depending on what kind of dollar amount we are looking for specific parcels as land prices gone up significantly. So for natural cultural land act rock, we are using this 12 million identified bond funding for planning, design, and construction of all of the projects that advance one of our missions of stewardship, supporting resource management plans that are natural cultural resource management plans and abiding by county initiatives. It includes historic preservation, cultural resource facilities, acquisition, and open space protection. You'll see here the rocklets in
Rocklets. Portia. That's awesome. That's it.
Oh, baby rocks.
No. Now it's rocklets.
So going back.
So I guess we can coin a new term.
You're having like, she's literally like, it's fine.
In this, it kind of highlights that although this whole rock is natural, cultural, and acquisition, it's not monolithic. It has subparts. One part of it is archaeology, which is the type of projects we will be talking about is cemetery preservation and maintenance, cultural resource management, which is being proactive in planning so that once development projects come in, they can move forward fast. And also we are making sure that we are assessing and inventorying what we have currently within the county. Under historic resources, of course, the award-winning resident curator program. Recently, we accepted the Drainsville Tavern resident there. Also includes building an envelope and systems preservation, stabilization, and for all of these resources, we also need to have some structural reports done for treatments and such. So all of that is included in that historic resource booklet. And the natural resource one is consists of specific programs that the natural resource branch leads. One is the Helping Our Lands Heal. There is the natural and cultural resource protection activities, which can be some examples here include meadow restoration and expansion. Dredging would be a little more expensive and time consuming of a project, and reforestation efforts. This rock is a little bit different than the other rocks because a lot of the work that is involved is time consuming, and we can't really say that we are done with invasive management or we are done with reforestation. We have to continue the upkeep. So it's kind of a long haul over the 6 years and even beyond. And of course, whatever money is left, we'll put into acquisition. We are also going to work on developing our land acquisition and open space preservation plan as we move forward. The criteria, we have covered this before. We are making sure that we are, for natural resource, we are focusing on risk reducing activities. We're focusing on the activities that provide a significant improvement to our ecological resources. We also want to make sure any site that we are treating is ready, and whatever treatment that site is going to get is going to be durable and a continuation of the prior investment. Because if we stop investing in parks that we have already worked in, invasives will immediately come back and undo a lot of the work. So there's a lot of continuation of previous work, but also new projects that will be slowly incorporating. Again, for the heritage conservation, we will focus on the structures that are kind of in that good enough category, but also significant. So that combination sweet spot is where we're looking to focus our attention. With that, I'll pass it on to Josh for the rock sector.
So the rec center rock, rec center renovations. I know we spent a lot of time talking about rec centers as a part of the 2026 bond. This rock includes design, repairs, upgrades, capital improvements for all rec centers. Talking about things structural, mechanical, electrical, cosmetic systems. We've got $89 million towards this rock. And we all know about Audrey Moore. We've obviously spent a fair amount of time on that. As we look at the subcategories here, Audrey Moore is by far the biggest bucket of this $89 million rock. We've also got items like the Franconia design, which we spent some time in the last board meeting talking about, that shifting into the 2026 cycle, as well as, again, that rec center capital maintenance bucket with all the needs that we have tied to rec centers. So I know we've gone through a lot of the rec center information in various meetings before, but $89 million in total spread across those kind of three primary areas. Shifting gears a little bit from the rocks themselves into some of the cash flow conversation and how that impacts the work plans and the actual projects that will start to happen as we get into the 2026 referendum. You all have seen this chart before, obviously, talking about cash flow projections and the fact that we'd anticipate spending in several years above the amount of bond sales that we would have. So typically we've sold in past cycles 25 million, moving up into the 30 million, $32 million range as we move forward, but that we'd have several years where we'd expect to spend far more than $30 million in a year. So the planning associated with that is what this chart has talked about. And obviously a big driver of that is Audrey Moore Rec Center in those years. As we put all of it together, this is where we've got really the 2-year approach to look at the first year. What are the detailed and specific projects, the finalized plan associated with those projects, and what we're planning to do in the next year. So bringing the next year work plan to you all as part of that kickoff process, as well as looking at year 2 and looking at the cash flow that's going to be available in year 2. What's that strategic plan associated with what's the work we can do in the following year within those cash flow constraints. And what we've done here, and I want to emphasize this is an example, in no way a fixed item, but is to show an example here of what does that cash flow look like over these 6 years starting in FY28. And this is, as you look at FY28 through 33, you see the different colors here associated with the different rocks, what we'd expect to potentially spend in each of those years. You can see the cash flow line item across the top. As well as you can see above that labeled AMRC other, that's the CIP assistance buckets that we were talking about earlier. And what I want to emphasize first in this is, as you look, each year is different, right? And that's going to all be based around what's the cash flow available with the fixed item that is Audrey Moore and how we schedule and plan around that. So Audrey Moore, based off the construction schedule, is going to have multiple years of $40+ million in construction expense. That's going to impact what we can do in any of those years where that construction is happening. And so you're going to see from year to year, those colors change in terms of the size of that bucket in any one year based around that cash flow. It's also going to be dependent on plenty of the other things we've talked about, the any slippage of an individual project tied to, we can't fit in a $4 million whole park project, but we can fit in a $3 million project based around what that cash flow might be in an individual year. The other piece with this that I want to emphasize is that CIP assistance bucket. That is a critical item for us in this planning exercise. If we are not receiving that CIP assistance bucket, what happens in FY29 and 30? That whole bar turns orange. And all those other projects come off and get pushed into later years. And so that's a critical element as we talk about this 1 year, what's happening next, and 2 year strategic planning that we'll be looking at constantly in terms of how do we manage that cash flow and the ultimate impacts on any of those blocks.
How would you characterize the CIP assisted bucket on this?
So that's the above the cash flow line item. It's called AMRC other. It's the dashed line here, and that's essentially CIP assist. It's not impacting our bond cash flow. That's why we're going above. If we don't get it though, all of the, again, the FY 29 and 30, those blue and purple bars are going to go away. The orange is going to shoot up to cover that amount.
And I see in 29 and 30, you're gonna have to have a significant CIP assist because it looks like 8 million to 12 million.
Correct.
Year to the next.
The Audrey Moore budget is really dependent on about $20 million in CIP assist to help offset that cash flow challenge. The other thing you see is $40 million plus just in bond cash sales. Strategically, what we've been working with DMB on right now is starting to sell more to carry that forward into those years, right? So that we have the $40 million, even though in that year we might only sell $30 million in loans.
And part of the reason for that, you look probably in FY 29 and you compare that to, sorry, my allergies, the other colored bars, those might equal. So why do we need two pieces? Why don't we just replace it there? Well, the reality is we can't just be doing one project for 2 years.
Right.
Either we've got things breaking, we've got other things, and we have to, there's certain, it's like there's what's the level that we're just to keep the lights on that we need to do. And that's the small amount that we have for 29 and 30. That's as low as we can do with other projects. I'm assuming that culverts are going to need repairs and bridges are going to break, like all of those things. So we can't just do Audrey Moore at 29 and 30. Okay. So putting it all together with the CIP strategy. This slide is really to talk about our work plan is going to be coming in and how everything's going to sort of work together with our data-driven decision-making and the bag of rocks. The $180 million CIP is not our only funding source. One of the things that we've been really good at because of funding issues is being very creative and trying to figure out how to get things done, right? And so we have a lot of different funding sources that we're doing. Just because something isn't included in the $180 million rock does not mean it's not on our minds and we're not like moving forward on stuff all the time. We've got proffer dollars that we're doing. Proffers feed into exactly this list. So now we have proffer dollars and Mike comes and says, hey, we got this proffer in Providence. Supervisor Palchik really wants to do a playground. We can tell you exactly what the next playground is below the red line and we can get that one done. If we have something that breaks at a field or a park, the first thing that the owners of the rocks are going to do, they're not going to jump automatically to the CIP. The first step is what are the other funding sources that we have? Can we fund? Because some things we can do sinking fund, things we can't do sinking fund. So we really need to be really strategic as to what funding sources that we use. We've got projects in for earmarks currently. What else we have? We have fundraising, grants, third quarter, carryover. We have public-private partnerships. We're looking at 2 projects that wouldn't even be on the radar for here that we wouldn't talk about, but like Barron Cameron's a good example. We talk about Barron Cameron all the time when we're talking about public-private partnerships and sports tourism. It's a great location if somebody wants to come in to build the thing. We're walking somebody through, we're talking about some sites at Rock Hill and like Laurel Hill about some fields for other people to go in and renovate. So it's these decisions and stuff that we're doing. The data gives us a very good baseline, but that doesn't mean that that's the only funding sources and things that we're looking at. But having this list makes it very simple to be able to pull stuff out and know exactly what the strategy is and know sort of where the thing is. It also helps out a lot when somebody asks, oh, reference. People's reference to bad and DNF are completely different. Somebody's like, oh, my playground. Like, when is that? That's really horrible. That's the B. B. Let me show you some DNFs. I can actually tell you which ones they are and send you, like, why don't you go off and go look at, Gristmill, go look at go look at them so we can sort of level set people in terms of that. So it was really a coup to be looking at the conditions assessments and really tying things into comparing everything across the entire county. I can't be prouder of the work that you guys did. You guys did a phenomenal job in doing this. This was a heavy lift of doing things, the heavy lift to like sort of look in different directions. And it was really Great. Oh, timeline. Next steps. So tonight, you guys hopefully will endorse the 2026 bond strategy. Again, I refer you back to, we will be coming later on in the fall, the work plan. This is not this individual project. This is the rocks. This is the strategy. And in fact, next year we can come back and decide we need to put some more money in another rock or whatever it is. That's why the beauty of this CIP process. The BOS will be approving it in June the 9th. And then again, we'll be getting the September work plan for the next year, and the public referendum vote is November. The bottom is an example ballot language from the 2020 bond. We just put that up there. It's very general. The backup information is also very general. One of the things that Allison was saying, if you have questions, she's here. She can answer is like the language and the backup information can't be seen to be advocating at all. It has to be very, the lawyers are in it. It's very general bond language. So this is not the bond language, but it's pretty close. What the public safety one is pretty close to what the public safety one is. General. And that next slide. Oh, and I will turn it over to, are you talking or am I just to turn it over to, what do we?
I can mention.
Yeah.
So as was mentioned, we are off to the races for the green team. We've been working closely with them and now our new co-chair, Mike, to get ready to bring this team together and start with the advocacy kicking off in June. We'll have our educational session the week of June 22nd. And then of course we'll leverage the summer time to build awareness about what's to come and then hit the streets really, really hard in the fall pre-election to make sure that everyone's ready to vote yes, November 3rd.
Comments from your
Question.
yes.
So the bonds are 180. Is the overall bond 200 or how much is Nova
I
Parks?
have no idea, actually.
Nothing. They're
Nothing.
not in this bond.
They're not in this bond?
This is just us.
Bring up interesting point. It's gonna be interesting to watch Nova Parks with Paul Gilbert not at the helm. Somebody's got a big shoe to fill.
Are they scheduled for a bond anytime soon?
It hasn't been discussed at all in the past couple of years.
It might be, and I'm not speaking for them, but in the whole talking about DDA and revenue bonds and whatever it is, it might be a shift in not doing geo bonds, but I don't know. Maybe they don't have any projects happening, but nobody's talked to us about.
Anybody else? All right, so I think we should have conditional consensus to move this forward. The condition being that we don't ever see a rocket.
Listen, I don't know.
Dogs are great.
Woodward, I would second that.
So we have consensus to
We
move
don't
this
have
on with.
the googly eyed rocks, you know, the rock, like the river rock. We're going all in, like it's fine.
No more room.
No more wrong. So we have consensus.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
We are,
Linwood's to a.
Thank you.
Having nothing else on the agenda.
So we are now on our dinner recess for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
So reconvene roughly at welcome everyone. Andy tells me we have so we're going to start right off with the agenda. First up is a motion from me to honor Karen Sheffield on Environment Park Authority after 27 fabulous years of service. Do I have a second?
I second.
Let me run with to adopt this resolution. So whereas Karen Sheffield has served the Fairfax County Park Authority and Fairfax County residents with distinction as a naturalist and champion of parks and staff for 27 years, has made a lasting impact on the stewardship and interpretation of natural and cultural resources, and advocated for improvement in Fairfax County parks for the benefit of local communities, visitors, park organizations, and staff. Whereas Karen's leadership in expanding research programs and interpretive resources, including signage and exhibitions at Huntley Meadows and Riverbend Parks, enhanced public education about the cultural and natural resources in those parks. She initiated and led a 12-year dragonfly study at Riverbend Park that resulted in state documentation of over 40 species, including 5 previously unrecorded in Fairfax County. Whereas Karen's instrumental role in supporting the renovation and grand opening of the historic Huntley Tenant House, as a liaison to the Friends of Historic Housing, as a representative on the project team, provide an important chapter of the historic property's history to life for visitors and enhance public access. Whereas Karen serves as a Fairfax County employee conflict coach through the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution, as a mentor through the county's mentor program, and as an advocate for a better work environment, compensation, and benefits for staff, contributing to improvements in the workplace with opportunities for county employees and improved practices and expertise in addressing workplace issues. Whereas her commitment and leadership have strengthened the Park Authority in lasting ways, Karen's impact will be felt for years to come. This distinguished service is aligned with the gold standard of what it means to serve. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fairfax County Park Authority that it expresses appreciation and thanks to Karen Sheffield for her outstanding contributions to the Fairfax County Park Authority and residents of Fairfax County, adopted by the Fairfax County Park Authority Board on May 13th, 2026. Congratulations.
Hello, everybody. So some of the things I want to say, it's been a long time. I just want to say to the Park Authority Board, thank you so much for all of your service. You do an incredible job. You have an incredible responsibility. And, the Park Service itself is so diverse in what it does. There's so many different aspects of the Park Authority. It's just and 10% in Fairfax County is truly fantastic. And I just want to say thank you so much. And I guess, from 10% of the land that we have at the park, just a small percentage of that is precious cultural and natural resource land. And I appreciate everything that the Park Authority Board has done, that the Director's Office has done to support those cultural resources, some of them which are nationally recognized and are extremely important to this community. And we keep finding new and wider stories to tell and different aspects of our history to share with people. So thank you for that. Also, thank you for the natural resource support that you give as well. Huge investments, the Wetland Restoration Project and other Helping Our Land Heal projects. Just a small portion of our 10% of land is rare resources that we have, natural resources. And those rare resources, it's just incredible what we have. Some of them are rare in the state, and some of them on parkland are the largest populations of these rare occurrences in the entire state of Virginia. And to be the steward of such rare resources, it's just an amazing thing. And some of our resources for natural resources are also globally rare as well. And to have that within our park system and have this globally rare natural resources and these nationally important resources are absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate you all for supporting them, for helping them be maintained, and also to enhance them in many ways. It's a huge responsibility. It's a huge honor. And it's just an amazing thing, the number of assets that the Park Authority has, even beyond the natural resources that are absolutely. So thank you all so much. Thank you to the Director's Office and all the management. Thank you.
Got it. That's probably what it is.
So Karen's departure, coming on the heels of the loss of Harry Glasgow, it really impacted Huntley Meadows. I mean, she is taking with her such a wealth of experience. And it also shows the overall depth of experience and depth and the resources that we have in our overall Park Authority team to be able to move up people and to fill those huge shoes. So thank you all for your efforts and for your work. Best wishes, Karen. Next. Up, adoption of the 20. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Action items, 2 action items, the scope approval for Chantre Park Playground revitalization, and I'm going to make such a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 2026 bond program number 5, final open. 26 Park Authority bond.
Second.
Any discussion? In favor, say aye. Aye. Any nay? Motion carries. We had 2 information items. Last week's last meeting, 2026 Park Bond Program number 4, and the 2026 Park Bond Green Team and Advocacy Plan. Chairman's matters. I have few other than to say, once again, park staff organized a Bayesian American Heritage Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander event at Mason's, well attended by dignitaries. I think their collective speeches were about a half an hour long, and a range of demonstrations, participation, and a very welcoming, fun day. So thank you to staff and all the attendees for that. With that, Jay.
So as you know, last week, we had our, the county had their FY27 budget that was voted on. Again, budget included funding for, I'm gonna start coughing in a minute, start talking, for zero waste, trash and recycling, new facilities, the OPI operating budget impact, which is huge. Our contract rate, all of it's huge. Our contract rate increases and our recreation system setting fee scale position. So all in all, we ended up with $6.9 million in the 2027 approved budget. Anything else that I'm missing? Anything I want to? Next slide. Okay. Definitely my kid's favorite day. Jose's not here. It was unfortunate, but we had our Take Your Kid to Work Day. Take your child to work day. I used to say take a kid to work day, but that'd be bad. You like to swing by somebody else's house. Although we do have the best workplace for that. So on April 23rd, National Take Your Kid to Work Day, Park Authority welcomed families to Mount Vernon. Rec Center, we had, I think, over 60 kids that were there. Children and parents explored a variety of hands-on activities led by Park Authority staff. Wonder Wagon, 3D printing demonstrations, archaeology, plant detective discoveries, plan your own park. Get set, get wet, sensory samplings in the pool. They got to swim. They got to do the rock climbing both in and out of the pool. They got to skate at the rec center. A lot of people being on skates for the first time. Oh, there's our resident Andy. It's there as well. There's Jose. He brought his daughter over. It was really a great day. I say every year, watch our staff who do phenomenal work teaching kids and teaching the public and providing services for the public and things to do. It's always great. Our staff do a wonderful job. Watching our staff do for our own is a particularly special thing. So I highly encourage grandkids, have a neighbor, come on out. We lowered the age, actually. So we had a younger center. Okay, next slide. my daughter's favorite day of the year. All 10 farmers markets are now open. It's a wonderful 2 weeks of opening rec centers, bright and early in the morning. So thank you to all of the Park Authority board members who came out to open the farmers markets. They're always a wild success. We actually had really good weather this year for all the openings. I don't believe any of them were rained out. It was really great. I always say, Nigel and I were talking about it, I work for free those weeks because I definitely spend all my money after ringing the bells.
How come no VIPs came to mind? I don't see any other pictures that don't have VIPs in it.
You were the VIP there.
Well, the board members were in the others.
And I even ran into a vendor who was from my little hometown in Pennsylvania at the Herndon Park.
Well,
See how I'm so
the
over.
thing about Mount Vernon is it's Groundhog Day. I have the exact same conversation with Dan Stork every single year. He's like 5 minutes late every year, something about coffee. And then I look at him and I say, I guarantee you were still in REM sleep when I left the house.
Now, you went to the other one, right there beside Dan.
Oh, yeah.
So you love Dan, but you don't me. That's what you're trying to say.
Oh, what? Oh, no. Well, I yelled at him because he was late and then he was
Oh.
Okay.
So there was something at the rec center the other day that he was early too. That's the first.
Next slide. Birthday. 25th, the Park Authority welcomed 6,000 community members to Lake Fairfax Park. For the record, it's the first time that we had Earth Day at Lake Fairfax. Previous years it had been at Sully. Staff pivoting, not last minute, but pivoting to a new site and trying to figure this out was great. Lake Fairfax in a lot closer to an urban center. So lots of people coming in. Communities enjoyed outdoor discovery activities, interactive nature exhibits, browsed a variety of earth-friendly vendors, beer gardens, local food trucks, live entertainment, local bands. They also received free giveaways and had a chance to meet some adorable furry farm friends. Really vibrant day. I mean, when I got there, I'm trying to get there, the line was all the way up to Bear and Cameron. And so we'd be creative in getting Walter's walking down the street because he ended up parking in the neighborhood. So he's walking down Bill. We'd have like get him to come in through. I mean, and nobody complained. It wasn't like people were yelling and screaming. We just had to get all of the were speaking in. It was a threatening rain. Rain didn't come till later in the day. So a lot of people came right when it opened. Great location. It's a great backdrop. Hopefully staff loved. I think it was record breaking. Yes, I think we have the most people there. It's a great day and a great location. Next slide. Aiken Community Park Pavilion ribbon cutting on Saturday, May 2nd. Park Authority gathered with the Aiken family, Supervisor Palachek, Mike Reynolds, and the Park Foundation community members to celebrate the new pavilion and the 75th anniversary of the Park Authority. We also reflected on an important piece of history, May 2nd. On that day in 1951, Leroy Aiken Sr. donated the first 14 acres ever given to the Park Authority, helping lay the foundation for the park system we cherish today. So it's a great sort of turnaround, not turnaround, fair play.
Full circle.
Full circle, thank you. The opposite of turnaround, fair play. Next slide. Audrey Moore Rec Center public meeting. May 2nd, the Park Authority welcomed the community to a special informational meeting about the highly anticipated construction of the new Audrey Moore Rec Center. Meeting was at Wakefield Forest Elementary School. There was a presentation of rec center design concepts, an opportunity for the community to share their input on the proposed plans, a variety of feedback stations. We're also accepting public comments on the proposed renovation plans for the facility via online via our Audrey Moore Rec Center renovation webpage. So we had the public meeting. Presentation is on the web, correct? Presentation is on the web, so you can watch the presentation and you can provide comments. These are just some of the photos. Welcoming people in and asking them what they think. Okay. At Hydro Valley ribbon cutting on May 8th, Park Authority was joined by Franconia District Supervisor Rodney Lusk, Franconia District School Board Member Marcia St. John Cunning, Hydro Valley Elementary School families and community members for ribbon cutting to celebrate the recent improvements at Hydro Valley Park. It's a playground that's next to Hydro Valley Elementary School. It really is that whole area with that Mount Vernon Woods, Muddy Hole, is really a testament to the hard work that staff have done our focus on equity and really listening to what community members want. This was not a Tuesday at 6:00 PM meeting for years. Like, when did this project start? A year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we went into the community. We met at the school. We talked to the community about what they want. Somebody walked up to me. I think when I walked into me, a parent or an adult was like, "Listen, this park is hopping. Like at 5:00 after everybody gets home from work, like you cannot, like it is packed with kids. There's a futsal court there. There's a basketball court here." And she literally looked at us and said, "You guys have been hitting it out of the park." No pun intended, recently. So she was very, very appreciative. She was a Army veteran, and Army, yes. Okay. Army veteran. So it was a really great experience. Next slide. The AANHPI, I will be able to say it fast at some point in time. Heritage Celebration on May 9th. Park Authority and community members hosted the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Cultural Heritage Celebration at Mason District Park. Speaking program featured Mason District Supervisor Andre Jimenez, Virginia State Senator Saddam Aslan Salim, and 37th District Virginia State Delegate Dan Helmer, Fairfax County Public School Superintendent Dr. Reed, and Fairfax County Deputy Director Sarah. Attendees enjoyed live performances, cultural demonstrations, exhibitors, an art showcase, community resources, food vendors, and a parade celebrating the rich traditions and diversity of AANHPI communities. Hi. This is awesome. So our resident Torsha, Victoria, featured, yes, on NBC4 on a segment at Eleanor C. Lawrence Park as part of its coverage to commemorate Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month. The interview will also air on NBC4 on Friday, the 29th at 7:30 as part of the AANHPI special. Send you the link. It's on social. It's on social. And that's where I saw it before. But we can send you guys a link. It's really great. It's a couple minutes long. She did a great job. Awesome. One of our own. We're very proud. Thanks. Huh?
We love the classic photos of Torsha.
I did. We always love the classic photos of Torsha. If you've never seen her in her dancing success, we're doing now. If you see her, she loves to dance, right? You love to dance, and seeing her in dancing, it's really awesome. I gotta say, I gotta see it in person. Next slide. Okay, upcoming events. We have the ribbon cutting of the new playground at Reston North Park, which is great because no kids are using that park until we cut the ribbon on the 3rd, right?
Yeah, right.
There's nobody using it.
2 weeks already.
So I expect that to be a huge Saturday, June 6th, National Trails Day celebration and ribbon cutting for the new trail at Brookfield Park. Saturday, the 28th is the first ever drone flight show. The county, I believe, right? In the county. So like Fairfax Park, we're going drone. We're going droney. We're going drone. So please mark your calendars for June 28th. It should be a site to be seen if you've ever been to the 4th of July celebration at Lake Fairfax Park. It is a wonderful event. It is again packed. Lots of staff working it. It's going to be a really great. We'll continue to remind you as we're going.
Jay,
Yes.
sorry, just real quick, apologies, it's June 27th, that's a Saturday. And just a quick add on, this event, the drone show itself is sponsored by the 250th Commission. So it is fully sponsored by that group, which is appointed by the Board of Supervisors. So it's a very exciting, this is the signature event for the 250th celebration for Fairfax County this year.
So if we would like to continue with drone shows in the future, we're going to have to working to raise some. So she definitely didn't pay for it out of her budget. She got that.
Special for the year.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Cynthia, you are up.
I just would like to mention that nominations are due for the Ellie Doyle Awards, and those nominations are due by the 22nd of this month. So please, please, please act accordingly. It's going to be a wonderful event. We had a meeting yesterday. So first things first, we appreciate your submissions in advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
And that's pretty much all I have, except thanking everyone for meeting yesterday about Ellie Awards and all of the wonderful things that you all do.
Thanks very much. Linwood.
So it's no secret that I've had some problems with our bond process. Just want to touch on hopefully the high level aspects of that in hopes that we maybe learn, maybe do something different in the future. It's been said many times through this process, the matrix, the matrix, the matrix, the matrix decided. Well, we've absolutely positively, and I know this is the third or fourth one that I've been through, we've always had a matrix. It's typically been based on mostly need and condition. And of course, we've all added PROSA to that process, the matrix. But the biggest problem I had with it was we always looked at and assessed staff's decisions on placement on the list and suggested and sometimes changed and stuff like that. From my perspective, we didn't have that specific opportunity to do that. And in many ways, I feel like part of the presentations and part of it was terrific. Part of the process was terrific, but it had some problems. But I often felt like the board was being treated like an advisory committee example. And I just wanted remind everybody that we are a board. We are in charge of the park authority to direct the director. But not only, are we in charge of it, but we have the responsibility of it too. So just moving forward, I'd really like to make sure the board is included or more included in some of the actual decisions that staff is recommending and not be shown to us the first time after a complete has happened. With that, I'd like to did work on it. Thank the staff for all your hard work. But I hope we can kind of go back a little bit more input on some of the decisions. Thank you.
Mike?
Pass, thank you.
I want to congratulate the board on passing the bond measure, but I want to congratulate staff for the great job that they did on it. We've been battling for years trying to get a very objective instrument in order to make it easier for us to make these decisions. And none of these decisions are easy. And I'd also like to emphasize that we are not an operational. We don't direct the director. We are an advisory board that has fiduciary responsibility for what carries on in our business. We came together, we got it done, but we did it on behalf of the Fairfax County Park as a whole, not picking and choosing and those kinds of things. And those are the things that we've tried to throughout the year. So I very much appreciate that. Portia, you are a rock star. I had so much. I was
only a rockland.
In my day job the other day, I was distracted by your video, happily distracted by your interview on NBC4. So congratulations for that. That was, and if you have not seen it, you got to see it again. Congratulations on the first drone show. That's going to be really, really interesting, but I can't wait to hear from some of my constituents on why fireworks are going away. And I can guarantee I will hear that. So that I've had.
Yeah.
I'll pass them.
I don't want to wade into the bond thing, but I do want to thank staff for all the work that they put into the bond I mean, it seems like an epic adventure that you guys have been on for the past couple of months. I thought your presentations and a lot of the work you did just shows an incredible amount of professionality and also business acumen and an incredible commitment to making sure that everyone in the community has access to great parks. So anyway, I just want to congratulate you. I know you're probably all really relieved for that to be over with, but and also Jay for her leadership. I heard a lot of, I haven't been on the board that long, but in the past 2 years, I heard you guys uptake a lot of what we've been talking about on the board. I heard a lot of, as Bill was talking about, a lot of the sort of strategic suggestions that we had being implemented. So I'm kind of excited about that, and congratulations. Now you can relax.
No, not to design the rocklets.
Okay. Relaxing.
Working on it.
Straight to Rockford.
Rich has passed, so we're gonna move into.
One more. She did.
She did, sorry.
Condolences to go out to Avena's family.
Oh, yes,
On the loss of
absolutely.
her dad. Please keep Avena and her family. She's on her way to Ghana to honor her dad. So
Thank you for that.
please keep them in.
Okay, we're now going to move into closed session. So first of all, before we close the doors, Dr. Carter, please make a motion. I'm sorry, I think you're muted.
Dr. Carter.
Dr. Carter.
Motion, please.
Right. This is Mike Reynolds sitting in for Secretary. I move the Park Authority Board recess and convene session for discussion and consideration of matters enumerated in Virginia Code 2.2-3711 and listed in the agenda for this meeting as follows. Discussion or consideration of the acquisition of publicly held real property for a public purpose, or of the disposition of publicly held real property, or discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A3 and A6. So for discussion of property in the Springfield District adjacent to Patriot Park.
Second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Carries. So we are now in closed session for about 15 minutes. Yes, we have to wait, but we have to wait till we're recording.
Started.
Yes,
Ready?
not just yet.
Yes, you're good.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I move the Park Authority Board certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Virginia Code 2.2-3711, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, and considered in the meeting by the board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, there's a roll call, so, so Dr. Houghton is absent.
Yay.
Dr. Carter,
Yay.
Linwood Gorham,
Yay.
Rick Healy,
Aye.
Faisal Khan,
Yay.
Jose Peralta is absent, Mike Reynolds.
Yay.
Mike Thompson is absent, Jonah Toomey.
Okay.
And Tim Hackman is aye. That motion carries. So now we need a motion. Linwood, if you would be so kind. I'm sorry, you don't have it. So Bill, if you would please go ahead and make a motion here. Here, this is the one.
So, okay. I make a motion to add the property in the Springfield district as discussed in the work plan to the closed session.
So we're gonna add the property to the work plan as discussed in closed section. And second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That was our last item for the evening. The meeting is adjourned.
No, that's afternoon. Because the Pistons.